Let's talk about the last 7 years. It's been one company after another setting up shop here in Ogun State. So far, the number puts it at 300, and the state puts it at 304 companies that have set up shop here. Tell us experience in terms of how, briefly, how the government or how your ministry was able to attract these companies and also make them stay.
Thank you very much, Tayo. Actually, when we did the first Investors Forum, which is 2012, prior to that time, Ogun State was rated as number 35 in terms of ease of doing business. That clearly shows that we are a state that is not friendly, that is not attracting the necessary investors. And we went to meet with the World Bank, right of reply. Funny enough, we had another one yesterday. I led the delegation to yesterday. But the point is this: when we had the first one, between 2012 and 2014, 64.25% of foreign direct investment, FDIs, in manufacturing that came to Nigeria, based in Ogun State. Because around that time, we've been able to showcase areas where, because Ogun State is a state that is blessed with mineral and natural resources, we've been able to showcase that to the world. And over 50 companies came in there. Then, when we had the second one in 2014, it grew over 150 industries. And then between 2014 and 2016, where we had the second one, 75% of foreign direct investment in manufacturing into Bethlehem. So it means that each year, I mean, if every 2 years that we have our Investors Forum, investors could see it's an eye-opener for them, and actually references and other companies that say, oh, well, Ogun State is doing very well, why don't you come and join us? And you could see, and what we have been able to do is to be able to encourage backward integration, encourage industries, encourage raw materials, and because we found out that there is need for these industries to site their industries closer to their raw materials. Because you see, let me be honest with you, nearness to raw material is key, because when you travel thousands of miles away to bring in your raw materials, it's hard to the cost of production. So now, if you look at Nestle around the corner there, you have Olam. Olam is one of the major suppliers of raw materials to Nestle, Apple and Pears. So it reduces the cost of going off there and what we're trying to do is that we are trying to encourage them to see how these industries can help themselves. How they can. I'll give you a good example. One of the largest manufacturers of international breweries. Beside them, we have allocated a land for glass force. These are one of the people supplying them raw materials. They supply them packaging materials. So those are the things that we look at. And having said that too, we look at how the success of this so-called Investors Forum. This is the fourth one and the last one. We've been able to see how Ogun State has been put on the drawing board. People are now appreciating Ogun State. That, oh, this is a state, because you see, I think Ogun State has been quiet. It's been known for a civil service state, but now it's been known for an industrial hub. We are now #1 industrial hub in Nigeria. Out of those 304 industries, about 140 of them have invested nothing less than $200 million and above. That's probably the investment they have, and below that is the number of the other factors. So what I'm saying is that it's been able to show that we have been able to see how investors have been able to gather investment, and because we talk of any industry that is not here in the state. Some of these industries, like Nestle said it recently, that 85% of their operation is in Ogun State. So you could see that they now produce in Ogun State and take it to everywhere outside Nigeria, even within Nigeria. So it clearly shows what Ogun State actually been doing to attract investors and creating that environment for business to thrive. And that's very key.
Okay, let's talk about the mining sector now. That's something that the state government also has its sights set on now. There's a lot of natural mineral resources here. Tell us what the plan is to harness and, of course, bring in much needed
Yes,
investment.
I'll be honest with you. Mining is an area that needs to be focused on too in Ogun State, because yes, it's capital intensive, but it's key. Presently, in the whole of this country, about 45 million metric tons of cement is being produced. Ogun State alone probably take about 50% of that, or no, if between 40 and 50%. And I will give you a good example. In the report of 2016, in terms of mineral resources, mining and everything, 43 million metric tons have been produced. They were 37.5% of that actually came from Ogun State. So you could see our contribution, and we believe that it's underdeveloped because a lot of opportunities. Another example is that if you set up a ceramic industry in Ogun State, you are guaranteed of 95% of your raw materials will be sourced locally. So the point is that then we have bitumen in commercial quantity, and bitumen, once you can, we process the license, we have that. Once people can come in to invest in that, you could see the kind of leverage we are going to have in that. quartz is there, clay is there, I mean, granite. The total, when they were constructing Lagos, the bridge, Terminal Bridge, and even the Atlantic, all the granite material that's been used, they took them from Ogun State.
Okay, so clearly there's opportunity.
There's opportunity in Ogun State in terms of mining.
So in terms of the groundwork now, maybe from a policy side of things, has the state government laid the groundwork so that for would-be investors who come in, and perhaps some of them are sitting, attending this year's forum to see, okay, mining sector, how do we begin to approach the government?
The government, yes, that's why we have Miremco. This is the Mineral Resources Committee. The Miremco is like a committee between the state and the federal government. So they liaise as the middle person. So whatever information you need, all the necessary approval. So because they deal with the community too, because you have to do your environmental impact assessment to ensure that when you set up your industry, it doesn't have an effect on the in the environment. Then when you are doing your mining, you are blasting and everything. So we need to look at that and ensure that the area, because at the same time when you are looking at getting investors, you must look at the community where they are going to operate to ensure that they are safe. The security and the safety of those people, so it's very key. So those are the areas that we look at and everything. And before you can get the necessary permit and approval, licenses, you must go through the necessary process.
Is this something that the state government is willing to pursue? I mean, looking at the fact that, I mean, it's been the term for this administration is almost over, but the time is a little short if you look at it.
Point of correction.
Is this something worth pursuing?
No, but yes, it is something worth pursuing because, see, we are setting up, don't forget that government is a continuum.
Sure.
And yes, when the public servants, the political appointee leaves, the civil servants that are running the show, we call them our landlords, they are there. So you whatever we do, we encourage the civil servants to be part of the decision making. We're all team players. We do things together. So I understand what you are saying. Our government is going. No, it's something that is, the government is a continuum. So it must continue. There's a process in place. And don't forget that we have geologists. For example, in my ministry, I have 13 geologists in there, and they understand the riddles. They are part of the committee. So it's important that they are part of it, and they are there.